who dies in Coronation Street as Stephen Reid's reign of terror concludes, all victims in the firing line. Stephen Reid's reign of terror concludes in Coronation Street next week as the residents of the eponymous street put two and two together, realizing that they've got a killer in their midst. The serial killer has wreaked havoc over the past year, claiming life after life as he went on a murderous spree, offing a number of residents in a bid to keep his sordid secrets hidden. The discovery of first victim Leo Tompkins' body, however, started a chain reaction of events that put the murderer under a spotlight, with various residents now starting to grow suspicious of him. Stephen's story takes center stage next week as part of ITV's Super Soap Week, with the villain set to meet an unmissable end as his sins catch up with him in a truly spectacular batch of episodes. With bodies found, bloodshed and the long-awaited showdown on the menu, it's safe to say that the week in question will go down in Corrie history. The big question on our lips, however, is whether or not Stephen will claim another victim before his reign of terror comes to an end. A number of the cobble's finest are in danger, that's for sure, and with new spoilers detailing the events to come, here's everyone who is facing death. 1. Carla Connor. Despite finding his presence rather frustrating when he first turned up on the street, Carla came to think of Stephen as a trustworthy business partner, unaware of the fact that he was trying to scheme his way to the top of the food chain in the factory. The twisted villain went to extremely measures in order to get the authority he so desperately craved, drugging Carla with LSD, which led the underworld owner to think that her psychosis had returned. But after doing some digging, Carla came to believe that she was spiked, with scenes this week seeing her work out that Stephen was behind her torment. The cobble's icon is therefore on a mission to try and expose Stephen for the scheming liar that he is. Upcoming scenes will see her find a one-way ticket to Thailand in her office printer and, working out that Stephen is planning on absconding, she relays such information to DS Swain, who urges her to keep SHTUM while they look into it. But with Carla having made her intentions to Stephen perfectly clear, will he resort to murder in order to keep her out of his affairs? Could it be Carla that will be his final victim? 2. Tim Metcalf. Tim has long suspected that Stephen is not to be trusted after he worked out that the businessman had been trying to get his hands on Elaine Jones' cash. He confronted Stephen a number of months back, with a showdown ensuing between the two, with Tim making it quite clear that he doesn't like to see his mum being messed around. Though Elaine managed to evade Stephen's grasp before she became his next victim, Tim has remained skeptical about his presence on the cobbles, knowing full well that he's up to no good. Stephen, as fans know, recently returned to the canal where he disposed of second victim Teddy's body. Little did he know, however, that Tim had followed him, with a very unique ringtone sounding, alerting Stephen to the fact that someone was close by. If Stephen works out that the ringtone in question belongs to Tim, then it's safe to say that the killer will be hellbent on shedding even more blood, making the cab driver his fourth casualty. Spoilers for next week confirm that the two characters cross paths again as Tim gets wind of Stephen's interest in the canal dredging project, with subsequent scenes seeing the taxi driver finding human remains in the canal. He sets off to warn everyone, but Stephen takes shocking action, attempting to choke Tim to death in his own cab. Recent on-location pictures from filming confirmed that Tim is left in a bad way, so will he fall victim to the crazed murderer? 3. Peter Barlow. Much like Tim, Peter hasn't particularly been Stephen's biggest fan, with the long-serving legend harboring doubts about the businessman's true motives of the factory. But with word now out that Stephen was behind Carla's spiking ordeal, we can confirm that Peter tracks down the killer for some violent revenge. Audrey arrives before Peter can do anything too deadly, but this begs the question of whether or not Stephen will subsequently retaliate. Could the killer strike on an unsuspecting Peter, claiming another life in the process? Actor Chris Gascoigne is set to depart the cobbles later this year, so could a tragic end for his character be on the cards?
Xin chào các bạn đã quay trở lại OK Soát Spoiler. Vừa rồi các bạn đã theo dõi một sản phẩm của chúng tôi, OK Soát Spoiler, một kênh tin tức chuyên cung cấp cho các bạn những thông tin mới nhất về những bộ phim xà phòng của Vương quốc Anh.